Hello YouTube, I'm Carlfire, and behind me is my latest invention, my tribute to the wonderful 1.16 update, my Ghast-powered giant fungi stem farm. This farm is fully AFKable, and it doesn't rely on TNT at all to do this, so you don't need to mine any sand for this. Now, it's not going to be as efficient as a TNT duplication farm that you put up in your spawn chunks, but I'm trying to do this without any glitches or anything like that. So this is relying purely on intended game mechanics, though of course I don't think using gas to mine trees is exactly intended, but it's definitely within the mechanics of the game. Etho did it way back in the day, which is what sort of inspired me to do this updated version. Here you can see that the blocks behind me are being pushed from the farm in front of these ghasts, and they are trying to shoot me in the face. And of course, they are not hitting me. They are instead hitting the blocks, blowing them up, and they're being collected by some hoppers underneath and collected in this chest. I've been running this farm for a little bit. Here is what an hour's worth of AFK time looks like. That's 1,200 warped stems per hour and just a smattering of warped wart blocks. This farm does not produce any shroomlights. That is just not a part of this design. We're purely going after the wood for this farm here. Now, the whole farm works when I step on these pressure plates here. That will get my timings right with these ghasts and start pushing logs in front. Now, to turn the farm off, we just step forward and we wait a little bit. We need to allow the farm to do one last cycle before we turn it off, and then we're descended, and of course the farm is now completely shut off. We can go and collect our resources. Over here we have the two dispensers, which will grow the giant fungi, and it's being fed by this chest of bone meal. And any foliage or any roots that are created go down into a composter and get sent back up here as a little bit of bonus bone meal that we can collect afterwards, so that after we're finished with the session, we can come and just add a little teeny bit of bone meal back into our system here. It's not a lot, but it's definitely worth doing. We also have the ability to select what type of tree we want. Right now, we've been growing crimson fungi, and we can switch it over here to warped fungi. And that will mean that if we step back up onto here, as long as our timings are correct and we've given enough time before the last cycle, if I jump back up onto here, the next stems that will grow along here should be warped fungi. So let's take a look at that process right now. There we go, perfect. The next one that grew up there was, of course, a warped stem. Let me turn the farm off here just real quickly. It's important to note that you do need to be in survival for this farm to be running. It's a really bad idea to be in creative and have the farm running, because the gas won't be destroying any blocks, and of course it will back up and end up breaking this bit of redstone here. And you'll need to go in and sort of clear the farm out with an axe. However, I have this little cheaty command block that will basically just delete blocks in the chamber when they get to a certain point, so I can just flick this lever and simulate the farm being on. And that will allow us to go and take a look at what this redstone is actually doing. So if you guys just want to take a look at this world download, you can go right ahead. It will be in the video description. You can see all the past iterations that led up to the final design, as well as copy anything in here to use in your very own worlds if you want to sort of flex on some friends by capturing a couple of these boys here and creating this cool contraption or something similar. So that will be down in the description, but I'm now going to bring you through the redstone because there's a lot of really cool stuff about working with gas and tricks with getting timings right for this sort of thing. So I'm actually just going to go straight through the process of what it would be like for this farm and how the redstone works, and then right at the end we'll talk about the gas and what the sort of quirks with them are, because it's almost like we have two machines here. We have a stem farm and we have the gas chamber. So right away, just some basic things. Let's switch over into spectator mode so I can show you some things. The way this farm works here is it's just growing on this nylium block, either a root, a sprout, technically a vine, or a fungi. Now, that's perfect. We saw a fungi here, and that grows and pushes the stems over. And then we're still going to try and grow the next fungi, even though we're not trying to push over any logs, because we have this dead space where we need to bring the stems down to be sent over to the gas chamber, and that takes a little bit of time. So we aren't going to want to push blocks into the zipper that moves those down while we're doing that, but we still want to try and grow our next piece of fungi, getting it ready and loaded in the chamber if possible. If not, it will just continue to grow like normal. So we saw that version there that grew and it pushed over, and then the row of regular pistons here didn't fire while the sticky piston continued to break off these roots here, which is important. And then those roots are being picked up by this hopper minecart. This hopper minecart is being shuffled back and forth, but it's being kept in place by that cobblestone wall down there. That's really important because otherwise the roots kind of go flying everywhere. This turns into a giant item elevator, and they can really end up in anywhere in a pretty large radius around here. They go flying out. After that, it's brought down into a composter, which is brought down over here into some droppers that are brought up into this chest here just for convenience. You could also not compost them and just run a hopper into a chest or something like that if that's all you wanted to collect. Now, the redstone for this is pretty simple. Let's start with the swapper here. This is, let me just switch over into creative mode. If we flick this, all this does is it toggles one of these nylium blocks up or down, like this. And when the farm is off, this block here is in the extended position. So it's actually under a solid block, which means that it will die. Just like grass would turn back into dirt, this will turn back into netherrack. So when we start the farm up, we select which type of nylium we want to be growing on, which corresponds to the type of wood that we'll be growing. Of course, this can also die during the process of the farm. When it's extended, there's a small chance that it will die, and that is why we have this here as well, so that it will actually be able to regrow itself when it gets bone mealed, which is incredibly important for this farm to be working if you're going to be running this, say, for an hour or something like that. The other thing to note here is this glass is not necessary. However, any gaps in this glass will get filled in with warped blocks like this as the farm is used. So this is purely for aesthetics. Anything that is clear glass is not necessary for the farm, but anything that is colored glass is absolutely necessary for the redstone to work. So let's go through the redstone here. The first thing that we have is the pressure plate that goes along this line. This turns the farm on or off. So first of all, it turns off this clock here. This is just a burnout clock, old-fashioned. It does two things. It fires the bone meal, and then it also goes through these two droppers to move our bone meal up. It's loud, but it's always, for this, you could put in a silent elevator, but this machine here is really loud anyway, so it really doesn't matter. This is going to be a loud farm. It's going to make lots of noise. I've turned the noise off for this video, but of course you have gas crying and shooting, and then you have the dispensers here. So that's where the bone meal is coming from there. And then over here we have a clock. It has one item in it going around that does need to be a it needs to be a stackable item. I just have a piece of wool going through here, and that does it's read out twice here. It's coming through a full signal strength and a partial signal strength. This partial signal strength is only firing this piston here, the sticky piston, by going into this block with the new redstone mechanics in 1.16. The other one here is going up this tower and firing all 12 of these regular pistons, and it will basically take any tree that's 12, the first or under 12 or the first 12 blocks of a tree, and move it over into the feed here. Now, I already explained why we want to have these two different timings here, and that's so that we can continue to break off roots, but not necessarily be pushing over stems. So there we saw it push over, and then here we're going to see this continue. There we go. It pushed it over, and then it grew another one, and then it's waiting for its turn to get pushed over. And here we can see again that now it's again trying to get that fungus to grow, and it will only push over once the last block here has been pushed down over towards the gas here. We'll be able to see it, perfect timing there, and starting the next cycle. This is a clock here which just basically gives us the correct amount of time for this. It's being read off of each time these blocks get pushed over. This observer goes through here, gets lengthened, and it turns off this comparator, which of course turns off the full strength override for the system, which allows all of these to fire, and then we only fire the one piston. So that's what's going on with that one there. Over here is a sort of a zipper, I call, because it kind of reminds me of one, which fires off like this. You see, it's basically just a series of double piston extenders, which push items down here. They go through the whole system here. You do need to have non-movable blocks here. So anything that's obsidian could be furnaces or something like that. Otherwise, the system will probably break on you. And they all get pushed down, and then any block which makes it to the bottom, including the first one here that's right where the at fungus level here, will just get immediately pushed over. So as those blocks get pushed down, they will get knocked over into this feed tape here, like this, as they get fired down. So this is actually a pretty easy pattern to do once you get the hang of building it, and it just drops them straight down there and moves them over. The important thing to note about this is that it's taking another observer output on this side way down here, and it's taking it from the fourth block up, because that is, here you can see, that one there was the shortest possible tree that grew. So it could push over 4 here like this, and not any of these ones up here if only a really short tree grew. So we need to take the system from the bottom and not at the top, otherwise the system will jam if anything short of 12 blocks grows. Okay, so once it goes into the system, if it makes it all the way through, it just meets this little turnaround here, which cycles it back through, and right now I'm just deleting them with the command block, but of course the gas would take care of that for you under normal circumstances. So that is the farm itself. Now let's talk about the fun bit. This is the Ghast killing chamber. Now, ghasts are pretty terrible explosives to use because they have very weak explosions. And the stem blocks have a decent explosion damage rate. Like, they can survive anything short of a direct hit from a ghast. So if I had 3 blocks here, and I hit this one with a ghast fireball, only it would break. However, if I hit in the middle, both of them will break like that, which is what we have here with these 2 ghasts. I have 2 ghasts here on either side, and they're both aiming at the player who is in the center. And so it will hit this slab here and actually end up breaking 4 blocks. It can break these 4 blocks here because it hits right in the center of all 4 of them. And then, of course, this ghast on this side can do that as well. Now, we have a couple hoppers on the sides here because they can actually occasionally break these ones on the sides. And that just happens when timings work out, when a ghast fireball hits exactly when the pistons are moving these over. So let me just replace those. The other thing is we can't have the ghast firing at the same time. If they both see the player standing over there at the same time, they'll both fire at the same time, and one ghast will destroy the drops from the other. So we need to have them firing at different times, which is really important, and that's what we have this system up here for. So let's go back over here and let's turn the farm off. You'll see that these trapdoors close at different times. There we go, that side shut, and then this side shut. So let's flick on the lever, simulating a player standing on here. Or actually, you know what, let's just stand up on here. Let's go into survival mode and switch over into that and do it that way. So we step up here and you'll see that this side opens first, that ghast sees me, fires, then that ghast will see me. So that, now we have an alternating rate of fire, and these ghasts will then be able to not delete each other's blocks, and we're also giving time for these to get pushed in. The more consistent, or the quicker that we have one explosion, the better, rather than having 2 explosions spread out, just with the feed tape here. So let me turn off or let me turn this on permanently, pretend that I'm still in survival mode, and of course we're still deleting blocks with our command block here, just for the purposes of this video. So when we stand on this pressure plate, it also goes through this signal strength lengthener here. So what this does is it just will stay on for longer. And what that means is that both of these farms turn on at the same time. However, this farm will turn off quite a bit after this farm turns off, and that's just to allow any, say a tree grows right when we step off the pressure plate. It needs to go all the way through here or it will jam, so we need to be deleting those blocks. which is why I have this system here where you stand on these two blocks here, you move forward, allow the gas to keep firing at you, and once these pistons drop, then you can leave the farm, and that's just to allow these blocks to get deleted. Otherwise, they'll back up through the system and end up breaking this redstone over here. So that's just an important thing. It's the one time this farm will break is at the end if you don't give the gas enough time to break the blocks. So the signal comes through here and up the back, and then it goes into this little device here. It goes into this one first, and then this one, and that is what allows us to have this delay. Now, to demonstrate this, I'm going to turn the farm off, and you'll see that these will come in at this one will first retract, then that one. And these comparators are reading these two hose here, which gives us a signal strength that will bring us all the way around here. So if I break this block, you can see that the signal strength only reaches halfway across. And that is what allows us to move one side of these trapdoors up or down without touching the other one. And that's just incredibly important, obviously, for the timings there. So folks, that is the farm. I had so much fun designing it. It was a lot of fun to work with ghasts, even if it is very challenging to work with them and getting them to do what you want. It's also really interesting using these new fungi blocks. They're kind of a challenge to farm in some ways. However, as we've seen throughout the pre-releases, they are also incredibly easy to farm once you get the handle of working with them. So this is just my contribution. Obviously, there are bigger and faster farms, things that use TNT and that sort of thing. However, I really like the fact that this is not using any TNT. The only resource you need to gather is bone meal, which of course you could just set up from a skeleton farm. You could build this right next to a skeleton spawner or a wither skeleton farm and just have this be completely automatic, which would be super cool. If you guys want to build this for yourself, please check out the world download. Let me know what you think about this farm, and if you have any suggestions for how it could be improved, please let me know. And I would love to see anything that you guys do with this sort of concept in the future. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, folks, and I will see you when next time I build something crazy in Minecraft. Cheers, folks.